Hey there and welcome to No Recipe Required. Tonight is steak night. I do it maybe once a month or so. Try not to eat too much red meat, but you know, I absolutely love it so much so I can't stay away. Tonight I got a ribeye. We're going to grill it off and then serve it along with some portobello mushrooms. And with those mushrooms I'm going to show you how to do kind of a balsamic mushroom. It goes really well with the red meat, maybe a glass of red wine on the side. You can't go wrong. Let me go ahead and show you how to do it. Okay, so I've got my ribeye here. Absolutely beautiful steak, bone in. I like to cook steaks bone in when I can. Don't always do it, but certainly when they're available and looking good, might as well do it. I'm going to season it generously with some cracked ground black pepper, as well as some kosher salt. I want to do it, both sides, and like I said, fairly generously, because some of that seasoning is going to come off on the grill. Now, I also like to do the salt, a good 20 to 30 minutes before I'm ready to cook, and that way the salt kind of draws out a little bit of that moisture and actually helps the steak brown more than it would otherwise. I also, it gives the steak a chance to come up to room temperature, which you definitely want to do. So we've got our seasoning. We can clean our mushrooms for our balsamic mushrooms, and we'll come back when it's grill time. Okay, I've got some portobello mushrooms here. These are those big, huge, giant mushrooms that you see in a lot of stores these days, almost all the stores these days. Really, they're just cremini mushrooms that have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. They're great. They're great to cook in a whole lot of different ways, but you do have to clean them. I don't particularly like eating the stems. So, pop off the stem. Easy to do. You just, it's generally leaning one way. Just bend it back against the grain or against that way. You certainly can eat these. Nothing wrong with them. You can chop them up, use them in stuffings, things like that. But if I'm serving portobellos, then I'll typically just use those. If you want to keep it as simple as possible, really, that's all you need to do. But I also generally like, I think most people generally like, to remove these gills on the underside of the mushroom. They're pretty strong, strongly flavored, kind of musty and earthy, and almost kind of overpowering the mushroom flavor. So I like to remove them. Easiest thing to do: just grab a little spoon, a little teaspoon like this, and scrape right along the gills. I'm not using a lot of pressure here. You don't really need to push down. It's a mushroom, right? It's not a rock. And just use a little scraping motion, rotate as you go, and those gills will just kind of fall off pretty easily. You don't need to get every single bit and piece out. You just go over, spend a minute maybe per mushroom pulling those guys out, and then you've got your nicely cleaned mushroom. Okay, for our balsamic, what are these? Balsamic portobello mushrooms. I'm going to start these actually before my steak, or if you're cooking them with something else. These are probably going to take longer than most of your meat options. I'm going to get a little bit of olive oil on both sides, and we're just going to grill them pretty simply over medium heat. We'll take the camera out to the grill with a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper on both sides, and let them just kind of wilt down and cook through. Then we'll bring them back indoors, finish them on the oven, and that's where we'll hit them with the little bit of balsamic. Okay, so I've had my grill heating up for about 15 minutes or so, and I've got this back burner over medium heat. I'm just going to lay my portobellos down, and I like to go cap up, although frankly I don't know if it matters. My thinking is cap up. You've got these edges. As the juice kind of starts coming out, it will stay. It's more likely to stay in the cap than leak into the grill. Keep my mushroom a little juicier. So I'm going to let these go. They're probably going to take a total of 15 to 20 minutes, whereas my steak's only going to take 7 or 8. So I'm going to let these go, and we'll come back in just a little bit. Okay, it's been another 7 or 8 minutes. My mushrooms, they're just about done. I think they can go for another few minutes. But I may just move them up to my I don't even know what to call it, the second rack up there. They can definitely sit for a few minutes right there. I am going to start my ribeye. I got the nice bone-in ribeye that we seasoned well before. You want to make sure your grill is smoking hot and you get a nice little layer of oil on there, olive oil or vegetable oil, so you conduct the heat. And you want to lay it down. If you don't hear that nice sizzle, grill's not hot enough, take it off, let it get a little bit hotter. Not going to touch it, not going to flip it, not going to do anything with it. We're going to really flip this once. It's going to go probably 4 minutes on this side. Flip it over, do another 3, maybe 4 minutes, depending on how thick your steak is, and then we'll pull it off. I'm going to take the mushrooms up in just probably 2 minutes or so, and we'll start dicing those up for our balsamic mushrooms. Okay, my steak has been going now for about 4 minutes or so. You just want to make sure you give it a nice good chance to sear. And then we're going to take it, we're going to flip it over, and even this could have gone a few minutes longer, about another minute longer or so. I've got a nice char here, you know, could have gotten a little, like I said, could have gotten a little bit more down here, but it's okay. We're just going to let this go now on this side for about an equal amount of time. Okay, we've really got our steak going now. I can tell based on my feel test, this is right where I want it, perfect medium rare. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it off, and let's go upstairs. We're going to let it rest while we finish off our balsamic mushrooms. Okay, so I've got my mushrooms here. I just wrapped my steak in aluminum foil. We're going to slice our mushrooms. I'm actually going to dice the mushrooms. These are the cooked portobellos right off the grill. They've got, you know, kind of a nice firm texture, a little bit of a smoky flavor off the grill, yet are still, you know, tender inside. That's one of the nice things about this size mushroom is, you know, the outside can get nice and crispy. The inside remains tender. Let's go take these over to the stovetop. I've got a pan going and balsamicize them. Okay, while our steak rests, we can finish off our balsamic mushrooms. I just got a quick pan on the heat. You want to get it good and hot. It doesn't have to be blistering because the mushrooms obviously are already cooked. I'm going to add them into the pan. Just give them a quick toss. Let them come up to temperature a little bit. Season with a touch of salt, touch of pepper, and then I've got just like a tablespoon of balsamic vinegar here. So we'll add that in and give them a toss, and really it's that simple. I'm going to let that balsamic just reduce down for about 20 seconds, and then we're good to go with our mushrooms. I'm just going to put this on low as it can go, and hold while we carve our steak. Okay, we've got our ribeye here. I'm going to go ahead and remove the bone as my first cut. You can go ahead, well, I'm going to say give it to the dog, but man, I'd like to gnaw on that myself. It looks pretty tasty. And then I'm going to go ahead and just cut nice, you know, half-inch slices. You can obviously serve the ribeye whole if you want, but we're going to do kind of a plated version with a few slices. If you've let it rest properly, you're not going to run into too many juices, kind of running all over the cutting board. You want to see a nice medium rare color, which is what we've got. Then to plate it, we'll go ahead and take our plate. Let me wipe my hands off a little bit here. You fan a few of those pieces out. Oops. And then come back with our balsamic mushrooms, kind of right over the top, maybe on one end. And there you go. Hook this up with maybe a little bit of green vegetable, or perhaps a baked potato, and you've got a delicious little dinner for yourself. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time on No Recipe Required.